Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's update on the extreme flood threat across the Northeast. So, the Weather Prediction Center has issued a very rare high risk of excessive flooding rainfall for much of Vermont today in the pink, as well as parts of Northeast New York State, with a moderate risk across portions of Maine, most of New Hampshire, western Massachusetts, and the Adirondacks regions of New York, a slight risk for almost all of New England, and a marginal risk down towards New York City. We also have marginal risks across portions of Montana, Washington State, Idaho, through the plains, the South, as well as a couple of slight risks across South Carolina, southern Oklahoma, North Texas, and a marginal risk across the upper peninsula of Michigan. But we're going to be focusing in on the ongoing flash flood emergencies across Vermont. So as of this morning, we have a flash flood emergency across portions of central Vermont. And looking at the flash flood emergency for Weston, Ludlow, Andover, and Bridgewater. At 7:25 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, Emergency Management reported heavy rain across the warned area. Between 3 and 6 inches of rain have fallen. The expected rainfall rate is ½ inch to 1½ inches per hour. Additional rainfall amounts of 1 to 2 inches are possible in the warned area. Flash flooding is already occurring. This is a flash flood emergency for Weston, Ludlow, Andover, and Bridgewater. This is a particularly dangerous situation. Seek higher ground now. So we are seeing dangerous, life-threatening flooding across south central Vermont. And then, like, the whole state of Vermont is under some kind of flash flood warning right now. So if you're in Vermont, make sure you are seeking higher ground if you live pretty much anywhere across the state, as we are seeing just relentless heavy rainfall ongoing across Vermont. And then we got flood watches across eastern New York, most of Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Connecticut, New Hampshire, and Maine. So looking at the future radar timing out the storm or the rain for the rest of the day, unfortunately, the rain is only going to get heavier as the day goes on. And by around 10 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, the heavy rain is going to continue to train across western Massachusetts through Vermont. And this is going to go through 10, 11, 12. By noon Eastern Time, the HRRR model is showing the rain getting even heavier across Vermont and even eastern New York State, as the very slow moving low pressure only crawls across New York State. And as even this is 5 o'clock in the afternoon, we are still seeing heavy rain training across almost all of Vermont, New Hampshire, into Maine, and going into 6, 7 o'clock. Still, heavy rain training across Vermont into New Hampshire, Maine, and then this will go all the way into potentially 8 and 9 o'clock before rain starts to move to the north of Vermont. And New Hampshire and Maine are going to be seeing another several hours of very heavy rain through the night tonight. And then eventually, as we go into Tuesday morning, we're going to see a little bit more. We're going to see even more rain across northwest Vermont before the low pressure begins to move out of the northeast by Tuesday afternoon. And looking at some of these rainfall accumulations, this is on top of what has already fallen, the 3 to 6 inches of rain that have already fallen across Vermont. We could see an additional 2 to 6 inches with isolated pockets of 7 to 8 inches of rain over the next 12 to 18 hours across Vermont, another 2 to 4 inches across the Adirondacks regions of New York, and then across portions of New Hampshire and Maine, an additional 2 to 6 inches of rain as well. So this is an ongoing life-threatening flood situation across Vermont. So if you live in Vermont, if you live in any flood-prone areas, make sure you're turning around, don't drown, and getting to higher ground to stay safe from this really unusual and dangerous flood event that's ongoing. Thanks for watching today's weather update on the flooding threat. Stay safe and have a wonderful day, my friends.